Welcome back, y'all.
Yep, just the two of us.
Just the two of us today. Yeah, EFN had some
This drink champs
conflicts.
action.
Yeah, man. Life's like that, bro.
Yeah, it happens.
Thank y'all for tuning back in. Fatherhood appreciates it. It's okay. What's new?
Well, there's always something new. I thought there was I actually meant to bring this up last episode. It's
Yeah.
kind of a footnote, but so we talked about this before. My son is definitely getting heavier and heavier into music and making his playlists and things like that.
So he's still on the playlist tip.
He's on the playlist, and then he got on this tip. He started watching. Did you ever watch that show Fresh Off the Boat?
Yeah. Yeah. I forget the guy's name that put it
I
together.
think it was Eddie Wong, I think
Wong.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dope show.
And and so it has a lot of 90s hip hop in it.
Yeah.
And so he connected with the show. He started hearing those songs, some of those songs, and so he's like creating this playlist of like 90s hip hop, right? All kinds
Right.
of stuff. And so I'm going in and I'm hearing him play stuff. I'm like, all right, okay. So you straight out of Compton, edited version, please.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm going through and today was a good day, edited version, please. I'm just like flipping, going through and having him swap out the edited versions. He's like, I already know what they're saying. I'm like, yeah, but still, like
You're killing his whole vibe,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
yo.
I was like, but still, you got plenty of time to hear all those kind of words in your head, later on. Um,
So why do you feel, because as you're going through it, I could even imagine you almost like cringing as you're going through it. Like why are you at this? Because he's what, 11? Almost
yeah,
11?
yep.
11. Um, why do you feel like he is not ready to listen to it, even though I'm sure he's hearing all sorts of stuff everywhere?
You know what it is? It's not that he's not ready to listen to it, but I think what I've noticed, and this is true for adults as well, the more that you hear things, like the more that you hear words used day in, day out, the more they begin to get stuck into your head and the more you end up potentially using them.
Yeah. Yeah, they
You know what I
become
mean?
more acceptable, more commonplace.
Right. So it can subconsciously just slip. You know what I mean? So like there was one day he was singing one of the songs and one of the lyrics was an F bomb.
Yeah.
And he's usually been pretty good about keeping that stuff out. But then he was just singing it and it slipped out. And I'm like, ah, nah, here we go. Nope.
Oh. Was
You
it one of
know?
those moments? Because I'm sure you probably had the conversation before with him. And then was it one of those proving moments where you were like, you see what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, see, like I know you are trying to be conscious of it, but sometimes it'll slip out without you even knowing it because you're hearing it over and over again. So your mind is on repeat of, you're not even thinking of the context of it. It's just these are the lyrics. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
It's like and not to put, white folks in the mix here, but like, they listen to obviously a lot of
well,
people listen to
that's
rap.
part of it too.
And then
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
the N word comes out because that's and it's
Um,
not necessarily them just trying to be slick. It's more just like, yo, that's the lyric. So
I'm
you
just
just
saying,
singing along.
dude, you can't be caught slipping. Like you're not gonna
Right.
get caught slipping like that
Right.
with any of it. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
So so
yeah.
th- so that was part of it. And then the other thing that I started doing is so he'd be at school and then I'd go over to his computer and I'd start adding in songs because he's just kind of like going and then playing, hitting play, right? And then
Right.
listening. And so there's things that like I know he probably would dig that, because it's like, okay, you got Dre, you got Snoop, you got Q, all that stuff is good. And I was like, all right, let me throw some Black Moon in there. Let me throw some Black Sheep, put some
Yeah.
things in there for you. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But then on the flip side of that, because it was like, all right, cool, like, what's my name, Snoop? Like, I'm with all that, all the party stuff and
Right.
that kind of shit. but I also put in BDP, You Must Learn. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let me put this in there as well, because I don't want you walking around thinking you're a pimp and shit like that, but then you're also not getting a
The
dose of the other
knowledge.
stuff. Right. Um, because I hear you saying,
Ooh.
your Snoop lyrics and shit. And I'm like, all right, but then BDP, You Must Learn.
Yeah.
That's in rotation with it. And so now, so after the first couple of times he heard it, then I hear him singing that, right? And then I hear him repeating some of the names, and he's like, that. He's like, how come at school? He's like, I was listening to the song and and then it got me thinking, like, how come at school, like, we don't get taught about the black inventors or people that aren't white that are, that are creating just as much or are important from an historical standpoint. How come we're not getting taught that?
What did he get? He grabbed that from the music.
Yes, from that song.
Got it.
Yeah, which I thought was
Mm.
pretty cool. I was like, okay, see, now we can have a conversation about, it's not it's by design. Okay, so and so we had a good conversation about that. So he kind of understood and could understand, like, hey, just because you learn something at school doesn't mean it's the absolute truth, or, there's only a certain amount of time, you're given to look at certain subjects, but there's a lot of other stuff that gets left out. So that's why
Hmm.
it's important for you to, if you're curious about things, or to be listening to, different ideas and different concepts or different history. So uh, so
How were you?
that was my proud fatherhood moment.
Yeah, that's dope because it's stirred up a conversation,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
his inquiry on some stuff that's real that
yeah.
people talk about a lot. Um, what? How did you curate that sort of playlist? Because I know you were thinking about it probably from a producer standpoint, and you were probably almost even blending them into the mix, almost, right? I would
I, you know,
imagine.
I didn't really mess with his I didn't mess with his flow too much. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't place him like, a DJ would place him in terms of, that kind of thing. But I would
Yo,
just,
yo,
oh, there he is.
EFN just joined us.
Yep.
Yo, why you look like you
You're
look
on the
like
you're on the run.
yeah, you look like OJ fleeing the scene right now.
Listen, that's not a very appropriate nowadays to
No,
describe
no,
anything.
that's terrible. Yo, but first and foremost, you shouldn't be driving it on a phone right now.
First of all, you're a snitch. Number one. Number two, I'm in a augmented reality situation. I thought no, I thought you guys said you weren't gonna do it.
No,
No,
no.
then we decided we were going to do it because I'm out the next week or two.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
So
yeah.
anyway, we
You guys
talk
talk.
about some monumental stuff on the music tip that Kay just experienced with his son on like the
Talk
Yeah.
to me. Let me
playlist
hear it.
tip.
Well, we already talked about it, but I'll give you the quick recap and you can chime in on it. It was that he's got this playlist of 90s hip hop going, and there was a good dose of Cube and Snoop and Dre and that side of things. And then I went into his playlist and I dropped in some like East Coast 90s stuff that I knew he would like, but I also dropped in BDP's You Must Learn, because I'm like, all right, you're hearing some pimp playa shit on some of the Snoop songs, and you're walking around, singing some of that. Um, so let me drop in some knowledge as well. And I would hear him listening to the playlist, and then after a couple days, he came to me and started asking. He's like that BDP song. You know, he's like, how come they don't teach us that stuff at school? Like, how come we don't like when we have history or social studies, and it's like, how come we weren't taught about, any of the black inventors or people that aren't white that are inventing things? And, so it led to
Wow,
a whole conversation.
that's awesome. And you know what's dope about that? And I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure it's kind of the same for you guys. Hip hop did this thing for me.
Yeah.
Like hip hop informed me and some of it we kind of already knew, but it really opened our eyes and confirmed, that we weren't being taught a lot of things, and it helped us, like, want to research ourselves, and it broadened our understanding of history even more, and socially what's going on. So that's dope.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and it was cool that he really picked up on it. And so when you jumped on, Manny and I were talking about it, he's like, how did I pick certain songs to add in there? And I'm still adding it. And some of it is just also just based on like, okay, this is the kind of like, you got kind of an upbeat vibe going on his playlist. So let me drop a couple songs that are to kind of fit the vibe, even if the lyric content is different, you know?
We might
Right.
have to post a link to a similar playlist somewhere. So
Playlist, yeah. Are you putting in there any Rakim, any Eric B and Rakim?
Not in this one. He's heard it before. He's heard some before. He's been around it enough, but I don't know if he remembers the names. Now he's at the point where he's remembering, like, well, here's a song. If he likes it, he remembers the name of the song and he wants to add it to his shit. So
Because what I think is super dope about Rakim is that he doesn't curse,
yeah,
but he's still, you know, as dope as it comes. I mean, the dopest. So
yeah.
so you could. It's not like you're compromising the lyrics or the music by presenting Rakim at any point.
I should put on like follow the leader or know the ledge or one of those. It's got an upbeat
Yeah, yeah,
joint. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
it's actually a
yeah.
really good point because Rakim spits so hard that you would think is laden
You
with
think
curse
Kurt?
words.
Yeah.
And it's just knowledge in the cleanest sense, which is wild, bro. That's true. It took me
Somebody
a
else
minute.
recently, somebody on Drink Champs recently told us that they did the same thing, and I was like, really? I can't remember who it was. Cannot remember, but somebody else told us that they did that. I'm sure Rakim inspired some other artists
Yeah.
to do that.
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
that's
I
dope,
mean,
guys.
yeah. No, it was cool. It was super cool to see that it actually just he picked up on it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
was actually listening to the lyrics and paying attention to the stuff.
I,
Shows you how
so
powerful music can be, especially to young people, and how it can influence how they're thinking, both on the negative side and the positive.
yeah, it's something like I don't really restrict, particularly my son, because he's like really into like hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't restrict him on what he listens to so long as he like if he's gonna listen to stuff that has a lot of curse words, I have him like just put on headphones. And I've played with both sides of it. I've played with like restricting him and then not restricting him. And I find in his scenario, in his case, he's responsible enough to not repeat the things that he knows he shouldn't. And but see, among his friends, I'm sure he's letting stuff fly here and
Right.
there,
Oh yeah.
right? Which I'm not necessarily mad at
No,
because
they're
if
gonna
you know how
they're
to
yeah, they're gonna do
adapt to the
that.
scenario, like I think it's okay. Because at the end of the day, like I'm look, bro, I could be a sailor. The older I get, the more I'm trying to really like use my words instead of just like fill in the gap with whatever curse word.
Right. We don't waste our words at this point.
Right. But I kind of I think there's a little bit of it allows for us to have this like interesting dynamic as father and son because we both love hip hop, different different eras. No, not really. He loves the 90s also, but he's like understanding kind of the foundation of it or more of the history through hearing it the way that it was intended, or the way that they intended it to be heard.
Yeah. And so what I was telling Manny was that, I was going in and I was having them swap out a lot of the edited stuff, especially on some of the Cube and some of the Snoop stuff.
He was killing his vibe.
Yeah, it was I had to kill, huh?
Swap out the edit. Swap out for the unedited, or swap
No,
it out for the
swap
edit.
out for the edited. So I killed his vibe a little bit, but I'm he hears us curse sometimes. Some of his songs still have curse words in it. It's just when it becomes an overload of it's like You know, there are some
Right,
songs,
right, right,
it's every other
Right.
verse has got some crazy shit in it. And I'm just like, all right, dude, like you're gonna end up slipping, which he did. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can't.
I think what's cool about kind of like what you're saying with the playlist, and I would imagine from the at least the way you're saying it is almost like he's doing it on his own, is like the balance of the styles of music, which I think that's the most powerful thing in hip hop, when there's balance. Um and yeah,
Yeah,
because you could have the hardcore thing, like for me, the most important time for me was when I was listening to NWA and Public Enemy, and that was
right.
to me the ultimate balance.
Yeah, and yeah, so that was my whole thought when I was hearing it. I'm like, all right, it's dope. And I like all those songs, but you're unbalanced right now. So let's throw in,
Right.
you know what I mean? Let's balance it out and you'll still enjoy it. And that's what happened.
And it gives you like the counter argument to something in a way, like it's like
Yeah.
it's like listening to a debate, like,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
there's this side, but there's this side of it.
Yep. 100%.
I
That's
don't use
dope, man.
playlists like that, man. I really, I kind of just stick to like, oh, I like this artist. Let me just let it run through a bunch of their, classics type of
Like
thing.
Kenny G, you just listen to the all
Kenny
Kenny G.
G, Andre,
Right.
anything flute, Andre 3000, anything like that.
um Off subject, but and probably we can't get into it on this one. Maybe we could. My wife had put me onto this one of these shows that do like an expose on like a whole like case, like a
Hmm.
criminal case.
Yeah.
Had you guys heard about that YouTube uh like a YouTube star that was a mother, like her whole stardom on YouTube was about being like a strict mother or strict parent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She got, yeah, she
She
got
doing
jail time,
time.
right? For abusing her
And
kid.
yeah, she was torturing her. Yo,
Yeah.
dude, that was so heart wrenching. My wife put it on. I'm always annoyed when she puts on certain things, and I'm like, I don't know. But then I honed in on first that it's a YouTube, influencer type person, and I'm like, okay, because this talks to the ills of our society right now, like where we
Yeah.
take people at this face value, and we think that what they say is the word of God, basically. And so this lady was, professing how, like that she was an expert on how to raise your kids with discipline, and her
Yeah.
kids were
She was
the
blowing
best
up off of
behaved.
that. Yep.
Yeah, blowing up. But then little by little, supposedly coming out in her videos and her vlogging, she was showing some more like extreme stuff
Parenting, yeah.
that people started to get worried, and they even started a petition against her.
Yeah,
What are those things called?
her
Those
name is
.org.
her name is Ruby Frank, by the way.
Yeah. So whatever, they started one of those petitions, and she started getting supposedly even death threats, like her and her and her
Yeah.
Damn.
and her family.
Yeah.
She got off YouTube, but in long story short, she ends up hooking up with a therapist, not hooking up sexually, but hooking up, and her and the
Partnering.
therapist start like some online course thing, and they start like what's it called, like not mentoring,
Coaching.
whatever, yeah, coaching, there you go. And so supposedly the therapist also, it had like a little bit of a history of like
Crazy.
being a little foul to kids, and they end up torturing the youngest of the kids, torturing, like literal
Yeah.
torture.
Yeah.
They're making them stay outside in like desert heat for an entire day or two, and sleeping outside and walking barefoot, on desert floors, and handcuffing them to the point where their skin is falling off, and not feeding them, and starving them. It was so heart wrenching to watch, and to hear this clueless lady talking about like she didn't do anything wrong, and then she used religion on top of that to
Mm.
like make
Yeah.
she was saying her kids were possessed and were demonic, and it's like, I don't know, bro. It was just heart wrenching to watch, to see any parent, like one of the attorneys, the prosecutors was like, this is the ultimate betrayal
It
for a
is.
mother to do to their child. Yeah.
Absolutely it is. I
Yeah.
heard a crazy story recently too, where this lady, she, it was an infant. She left her infant in the
Oh, that one's crazy.
Oh,
bro in a freaking
to
pit
go on
playpen
vacation, right?
and went on vacation.
Wasn't it to DR?
Puerto Rico, she went to.
She was gone for what? How many
Where were
days?
you going, bro? Where were you going?
I just knew that if I said DR, it might be foul for you, but no, yeah, she was Latina, and yeah, she went to go and mess with dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. She was out for
Let
like 10 days or something like that. And yo, of course, like baby never got fed, nothing, and killed the kid.
and the people were hearing the baby cry, the
Wow,
neighbors.
that's
And
foul.
dude, yeah, that's like I can't like I told you guys before, it's hard for me to watch anything involving kids nowadays as a
Yeah.
parent. There was other crazy story of the I think I don't know if the kid was handicapped or mentally challenged or and the kid was older, maybe even a young adult, but that the parents left her on the couch so long that she melted into the couch.
Uh, I saw a
No.
headline about that.
Come
Like
on, man.
what kind of
Yeah.
disturbed people are around in this society, man?
Okay, I got one more disturbed one for you.
Fuck.
So
Pile on.
my wife put me onto this podcast called Scamanda, and you should peep it out. But it's about this woman who for shit almost 7 years pretended that she had terminal cancer and got all these people behind like her kids lying to her kids that they had that she had terminal cancer and was like faking hospital visits and faking like injections and getting all these people to like pay for everything, pay for her trips, her house, her kids, like uh you know uh
Activities and
activities, all that shit. I mean, it was out of control. You should listen to it. It's crazy. What's wrong with people? Like, what is?
yo, I feel there's a lot of people out here that unfortunately they walk around their lives with their hands covering their eyes, bro. Like they just they don't account for like zero accountability. And yo, you can't walk through life just like closing your eyes, thinking that whatever you can't see is not getting impacted. Like it doesn't work that way, especially when you're a parent and you got kids, bro. Like
Yeah,
the fuck is wrong with you?
it's funny. My son was listening to some of the podcast, and then after a while, I was like, "Can we turn this off? It's making me feel weird. Like,
Hell
it's making
yeah,
me feel."
hell yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah, man.
I'm all about like showing my kids the reality that exists out there because I feel like a lot of times they live in a bubble.
yeah,
But this kind of shit, I can't even like. There's no benefit to showing them any of that kind of stuff. Oh, fucking disgust me, bro. Yo,
yeah, man.
listeners, don't do stupid shit like that, please. If you're listening to this podcast, the intention is for you to elevate and get entertainment. It isn't for
Right.
you to be on some crazy shit like that. Cause man, yo, these kids mean everything. Like we all gotta just keep it cool, bro. Life is hard. You gotta keep it cool.
Gotta do better.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
You saw the one where the guy tried to kidnap the teenager and the mom jumped out and fought the dude down the stairs.
Nah,
Ah,
Yes,
that's a good
the
one.
daughter was yeah, the daughter was coming
We'll end on a
home.
good note. It's,
I think it's like a ring camera that caught everything, and
uh,
then some dude. Apparently, the dude was a coworker of hers. The dude jumps out, like just jumps from behind her, like I guess he came up the stairs. I don't know, but he just gets behind and starts dragging her, like to kidnap her, like take her away, or who knows what the hell he planned on doing. And it was like I think it was daylight too, and the mom, jumped out the house, out the apartment, and went down the stairs trying to get the daughter, and was fighting the dude, and the dude was like whooping the mom's ass at the same time. And then finally, I guess I don't know how high, how many floors up, but some other neighbors downstairs saw the commotion and some dudes jumped in and helped subdue the guy. But man, like
it was
I'm
the
telling you,
father,
this
or it was the father, or it was some random
no coworker, like some coworker,
co-worker.
damn.
like followed her home, or I don't know what the intention was, but obviously it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Dog. It's funny. My kids, it started with my oldest. she had this thing, and I don't know what she saw that made her feel this way about like vans. And there's like a particular looking type of van that anytime she sees it, she's like, "Oh, get away!" Like even if we're driving and one of them might pull up next to us, like no, 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 go, go, go. That's a child stealing van. And I'm like, "Yo, where'd you?" And they're like, you know, those like A-Team kind of looking
Yeah.
vans, like
Yeah.
that's kind of one version of it. And then it's like those like Sprinter vans with no windows. Those are the other ones. And then she's like, so she got the other kids, like, you know, paranoid
Nervous
about
though.
that.
Yeah.
So my son the other day, he's shooting hoops in our driveway, and he sees a van like pass, and it didn't even stop or nothing. He just saw it pass the street. He was like, "Oh!" He ran inside and was like, "I'm good. I'm done."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, what happened, dog?" He was like, you know, one of them child stealing vans, I think,
Oh,
passed
shit.
by.
Yo,
And
when
now
I
they
was a
don't.
kid, I had a van pull up on me when I was a kid.
For what? To
Real
try
talk, in LA.
to try to take you?
I mean, I don't know, but it was like it was the stereotypical creep. Hey kid, I got candy.
No.
I was in my big wheel on the other side of the block, like not on my ribs block, you know, and riding, and then the van pulls up, like it did a couple, like it circled around a couple times, and then pulls up, and the dude puts down the window. He's like, "Hey kid, you want some candy?" And I was like, "I'm out of here."
Like you
Yeah.
knew better. I could see
Yeah,
you
that
big wheeling.
I definitely had a couple times where I had people creeps following me, and then I would dip into a store when I was a kid and just stay until until it
I
was
feel like
gone.
the early '80s was chock full of creeps
Yeah.
pulling up on kids. Yo.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever having that, but I've always like, I don't know where I got this from either, but even to this day, sometimes I do it. Whether I'm walking or in a car, I always tend to take different routes home. Just cause, like, in the event somebody might be following me. I think I just watched too many movies, but like, I've always had like this sixth sense, like, yo, I think somebody might
No,
be
no,
following
that's
me.
Yeah.
I always pay attention to cars behind me, and if they
Yeah.
are behind me too long, I keep it moving. I don't go into my neighborhood.
And whenever I'm walking, I still do it. But I did this back in the day when I would walk home from elementary school, is I would use the cars that are on the sidewalk, and I'd look in the car in the reflection on the mirror so I could see who's behind me, just so you
Oh
can see.
yeah,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I still do that.
I still do that all the
I still
time.
do
All right,
that.
let me see who's behind me here.
You could take the person out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the purse.
that's why I don't like bathroom stalls, because I always have that like sixth sense, like looking behind me in the bathroom stall,
That's why
like
you
in
like
Right.
that's why you like the urinal
in the
stalls
urinal.
side by side because you like to peek over.
No, no, I said that backwards. I don't. That's what at the urinal stall is the weird part. I like to go into
You like going number
the
two
regular.
in the urinals? Is that what
But every time
Yo,
I go, man, he's in there and he's like, "Yo, I'm busy," and then two dudes walk.
nah, he be in the bathroom actually having conversations like, "Hey, what's up, guy? How you doing?"
you?
Don't you hate? Have you ever been to a spot and you go to take a piss in a urinal and a motherfucker wants to have a convo with you,
I
like a
mean,
stranger?
that happens to you because you a drink champ celebrity, but yeah, nah, I no, no, that's like man code. You're not supposed to talk in the bathroom, bro.
Oh, I feel like pissing on their shoe when they do that.
I wish you
It's
would.
like, bro, look straight, bro. Stop fucking trying to talk.
Yo, you know, actually about that, sometimes I'll go to the bathroom with my son, right? But either I go first or he'll go first. And I delay a little bit to go in and then I'm watching him, I'm observing where he's ended up, gonna go pee or whatever. But just to see if anybody acts funky. So they don't know necessarily that we're together. Cause I want to see how he handles things, but also like, yo, if anybody's like trying to pee but do some funky shit, so I could be like, get up involved because I don't know how these people act, but I want to kind of help him understand like what to be looking out for. So if I do, I mean I haven't, but if I do see some weird shit, I'm like, pointing it out to him, so he has his awareness raised.
Yeah, no, that's real. I end up doing a lot of defense, just like standing by him and kind of blocking, but I probably need to step back a little bit. Anyway, guys.
Well,
All right, guys, that was
I gotta
fun.
get my stuff.
All right, you do whatever you just said because we couldn't hear you. But
Yeah, right.
all right, y'all.
All right, fellas.
Next week, peace.